afternoon. Jamie Levy at Generation Mining. I'm President and CEO, and we're developing a Copper-Palladium-Copper project in Northern Ontario. Hopefully we'll be fully permitted and shovel ready later on this summer.
Jenny, good to see you, man.
Good to see
We're
you.
here at PDAC, of course. You've been pounding the streets, having meetings. How's it going?
I don't know if it's pounding the streets as much as it is just meeting past investors, fellow investors, but the sentiment seems to be much better nowadays than it was, last week over the BMO conference. Gold has had a nice little run here, and even today, Palladium I think was up over $100. So walking in here, so nice to have those days, and I think copper's in the mid 380s. So we should have PDAC every day, or should come meet you every day, because these are good days for our stock and for the commodities.
What's driving that? I mean, there's sometimes people talk about the PDAC effect, and then it kind of comes back down after PDAC. But what's happening in the commodity market?
Well, I mean, just on copper, for instance, I was reading reports that we got negative TCRCs nowadays. Smelters are, really hurting for concentrate. Obviously, the Cobre Panama First Quantum news wasn't so favorable for copper supply as with the Anglo shutdown as well. So we're going to be in a big copper supply crunch coming up. And the palladium market, there's a Norilsk report that came out, I think, last month, and TD report followed up on it. Big short, about 3 million ounces of palladium. So don't like to see people short a commodity, but the good thing is they got to cover at some point. So maybe they're starting to cover now.
You must have mixed views on what's going on in the EV market then.
I was never a full believer of the BEV movement, but I did like it because we, could be half of our commodity mix is copper, so we're got that inverse relationship. So if we went full BEVs, copper is going to have to fly, and that was going to be our predominant metal. So either way, we win. But I knew that there would be a delay. Toyota was one of the first to mention it years ago. Now I think BMW and I think Mercedes are coming back and saying they're not going to meet the
Toyota
2035.
too.
Yeah, Toyota as well.
Yeah. No, I think interesting date and slightly more realistic. I think
it's more realistic until we can get this grid a little bit better. We're not going to go BEVs 100% in 2035.
Right. I want to focus on the copper bit today, if you don't mind. We're kind of running in a copper thematic here at the moment. You said something kind of interesting to me there about copper production or lack of copper production, potential deficits, lower inventories, and so forth. Companies like you have kind of gone through this kind of study phase. You've kind of put the numbers out to market. How hard is it going to be for copper projects to actually get the capital that they need? Because we've seen a few blow-ups in the kind of build out kind of phase. Are you planning to build this thing?
We are trying to build it. I think the bigger issue is not capital. It is the sustainability side, is the permitting side, environmental side.
Right.
People in Canada, people in the US, South America, permitting is not an easy process. We've been spending millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, year after year after year to get a project fully permitted. We're at the finish line, we're at the goal line, but the posts move a little bit, and they moved over the past couple of years. So people think, oh, we're going to be permitted in 2 years. That's not going to happen. So with the financing question, I think higher prices will bring in the money, and the higher prices haven't quite occurred yet. I would just listen to Freeland at the BMO conference, and we all listen to Freeland, and if you want to listen to bullish scenarios on copper, Robert's the guy to talk to. And copper isn't at that level yet where the incentive pricing are to start to develop projects. So I'm hearing somewhere around the 425, 450 range.
Okay, so your concern is not that. Those aren't the money's not necessarily the issue. It's how do you get to the point where you're permitted, you've got the social license, and you're not going to come across some of the issues we saw last year. So talk to us about the jurisdiction you're in.
So if I could just go back to the money for a second. So money is an issue for the companies, but I think with the higher prices that will cure. We'll cure that. Where we are, we're in Northern Ontario. We got a relationship with our First Nation partner, Bidigonashnabeg. We have a CBA signed with them and working with other First Nation groups. We received our environmental assessment in November of 2022, which is a high standard of permitting, a joint review panel a company can go through. After we received that, we started applying for the provincial permits. We have our phase 1 permits, as we like to call it, which is closure plan, permit to remove trees, and species of risk. So now we can technically go start to do early works construction, or we're going to wait for the phase 2 and the phase 3 permits, and they're coming along monthly, and we anticipate to get them by the summer of this year.
Right, okay. And what about the infrastructure you've got around you?
We have very good infrastructure. We have the Trans-Canada Highway. So if we just go up this highway over here, it's about 10 hours away, 12-hour drive. So
Let's
pretty
go.
good drive, yeah. So I think we'll fly next time, but we'll fly. But we got the power lines coming from Eastern Ontario, just outside of Pickering here. Nuclear power, so green power. We got the two of those power lines intersecting the project. We got 2 rail lines close by. We got a road right to the project. We have a town of about 4,000 people. Marathon, very supportive of this project. The mayor is our biggest proponent. And again, we got support, the social license from our First Nations. So again, it couldn't be in a better area. We got 3 projects just finishing construction. Cote, hopefully we finish soon. Magino and Greenstone, so we'll have the construction force, and we know it's a mining-friendly area.
And when you look back to 2023, and a lot of blow-ups, right?
Yep.
Cost, social, for lots of different reasons. It doesn't feel like there is a kind of normal, safe. It used to be described as we'd like only invest in Western jurisdictions because it's guaranteed. There's this rule of law, it's a sensible process. We know how to. It doesn't seem to be a normal jurisdictional environment anymore. It's got much harder to do business. Does that affect the way that you do your planning? Well, does it affect the way that you do your planning? Because it kind of makes me nervous. Some of these companies that are trying to get projects over the line can't get over the line. It's not good for the industry. It destroys value, and
I think, not to bring up Robert Freeland, but he always hired the best and the brightest. And I think a lot of people undervalue the necessary need for a good owners team. And I think some of the projects, and I'm not going to name who they are, might have had some development construction issues because they didn't have the right team or the right EPCM team involved with them to actually oversee that EPCM team. So what my board, who's a very experienced board and management team, my CEO Drew Anwell's done this before, along with some of our other people. So we want to make sure that we're fully, at this certain level of detailed engineering before we start construction, in the 75% complete, and we're about 40% complete now. But I think a lot of these companies started without that level of detailed engineering and without the owner's team really working with that EPCM team, so you didn't have those delays.
And what's this year hold for you?
This year is, well, hopefully, again, I'm going to come back tomorrow and the day after because we're going to get a $100 move in palladium every day. We're hopeful that the commodity market will, like mentioned earlier, the incentive pricing to start these projects will increase, so the prices will increase. But we're going to sit back. We raised some money in the end of last year, November, so we're good for a little while. But we'd really like to get into the next stage, which is development of this project, getting the project financing all arranged, and then we'll be shovel ready as soon as the market is enabling us to raise that final amount of money.
Well, there's the thing, isn't it? What is the market telling you right now? What are you hearing in some of these conversations when you're sort of meeting shareholders, other old friends, etc.?
There's lots of interest, but I don't think the generalist funds are quite there yet. Right. And those are the funds that are going to help, bring up the share prices, bring in some volume into the stocks to get some interest in the market. The gold market over the past week has been quite phenomenal. The commodity's gone up, but the gold stocks are still kind of teetering, like they're just not really moving it. The large caps are, and I think it's going to start to move up.
How do you read that? Because it's really bizarre. Like on gold specifically, I haven't been able to read it for 3 years. Yeah. It used to be well-established rules, and this happens, that's going to happen. It's not the same anymore. And do you find that across all equities? Obviously palladium's it's a slightly nuanced commodity, but for copper, it should be easy to read, right?
It should be, but there's really very, very few pure play copper projects. You could buy, I'm not going to name who they are, but a lot of people will just go buy an ETF. They'll go buy the BHPs or the Rios. With the gold companies, rather than buying, the Alamoses or something like that, they're just going to go buy the GDX or the GDXJ. It's just much easier for them to buy it. But for the smarter investors, when they start looking at the discount to NAV or premium to NAV, they'll start buying the stocks and they'll say, oh my God, the stock is cheap relative to where they should be. Right. And I think we just, over time, whatever happens, the Bitcoin market goes up, goes down. But a lot of the speculative money is out of our market for now. And I think it's going to come soon.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when Bitcoin went on a run last time around, I think all miners were cursing it. It's like, God damn you, you're distracting our investors. it's happening again.
Yes.
Does it mean we're going to delay? I mean, what could go wrong this year is, I guess, what I'm looking at. Because I want to time the market right. I'm not quite a contrarian investor. I like strong fundamentals, but I don't want to dive in if the market's not going to do anything for 2 years, such as, US elections or Bitcoin going on a run. So how are you reading it?
Well, we should go to the Lamborghini dealership and see how many Bitcoin guys are buying cars right now. So maybe that'll be a top of the market. But maybe when they start to sell it, I don't know. I don't really understand Bitcoins. I've never invested in it. But I'll just we're just trying to run a business. We're trying to keep with our permitting and to get the project all ready to go. And when the funds come in, we're going to be ready.
Okay.
Sorry for not a good answer, but I'm at a loss when I see people investing in that. So
it's been a funny few years, and if I'm looking forward to this year. I'm trying to work out: do I hold my money? Do I maybe, let's say, get in early on some of the better, stronger fundamental projects, or maybe we need to be looking outside of mining again? Because people talk about metal super cycle, and I'm like, well, okay, what does that mean? Should I be placing my money now? I mean, what are you doing?
I think though.
So we're going off mining a bit and going into investing, but you're pretty good at it.
No, I'm pretty good at investing, but I mean, I put a lot of money in the mining market because I think there's value here. I don't think there's value in that. I mean, I think I bought Newmont a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a 4 or 5% dividend yield, BHP as well. Yeah. Just put some of my extra cash in that because I think the real businesses. I know the commodity prices are going higher. Whether this climate change accord happens or not, but we're in short supply of a lot of these commodities, and the demand is coming. And so I'm a believer in it. So maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I think it's going to happen, and I'm not going to invest in things I don't really understand. But I was at a conference 2 weeks ago, November, wow, my time's flying, and I asked one of these private equity family offices, what are you doing with your funds? And he goes, I'm sitting on the cash, but I'm looking ready to deploy it. And I think a lot of people are sitting on their wallets.
In resources?
In resources, yeah. Okay. I was at the Zurich show, and a lot of guys are sitting on their wallets, and I think sooner or later they're going to start opening their wallets, and then we're going to see a nice upward swing in commodities and prices.
Do you think, I mean, what do you think with regards to the shape of this market is quite tough, with the smaller juniors struggling to access cash. It's expensive cash when they can get at it, and reality is it's probably terminal in terms of the structuring, the corporate structuring anyway. I expect to see a lot of tree shaking and lots of branches breaking and falling off. In fact, I kind of positively want it in a way. There's too many stories out there, too many small stories, bad management, inexperienced management, and it's just never going to get over the line. I want to see it. How do you feel about these market shake-ups?
There are a lot of weak management companies, if I could call it that, and weak asset companies. But I think that's for investors to be aware of that, and for them to look at the management, what they've done. If they're marketing gurus as the CEO, and they have no experience in mining, maybe not put your money into that project. And look at the value of the asset. If you want to look at it as something as simple as an in situ value, the economics of the project, look at something, but start checking the boxes versus just saying, oh, the stock has gone up, or this promoter's behind it, I'm going to go buy it. So that's how I would invest. But
yeah, I wish people did do that. Yeah, would do that.
I mean, so when it comes in, the biggest thing, maybe become a banker, because bankers just raise money for all these companies, and the problem is they're agnostic about what companies. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we have selective financings, and it's not going to happen, I know.
I was a banker. Okay. I did do all of that. We didn't care. It's all about the fees, and I didn't like it, so I left.
But we had a lithium run last year. We were having uranium run right now. Yeah. Is uranium going to continue? I'm not too sure, but I know these cycles go up and sometimes they come down. They usually come down or flatten out, but gold's starting to move, and I think everything's going to have this little bit of run.
Let's hope so. Let's make some money this year, eh?
I hope so. Yeah. It's been time.